Hey everybody, it's Jeannie from Jeannie's Palette, and it's another Take 5 Friday, and we are working with mixed media today. We have some amazing creatives who are joining us for our playlist this week, so make sure to check out my description for that link to the playlist, as well as a tag to my friend Christy from Funky Junk Inspiration, who co-hosts this playlist with me once a month on the first Friday of every month. So let's get to working here. So I love little tiny things, little assemblages and things like that. I thought that would be a great mixed media project because it's got a lot of different little stuff. This is just a little board that came out of the back of a frame, and this is Paper Studio, a little mini paper that I'm going to use on the back here. It doesn't quite fit at the bottom. I'm not really going to worry a whole lot about that. But let's see here. I do want to cut this so that I don't want that big a blob there. So what I'm going to do, let's see here. Let's pull it down. We're going to eyeball it because that's how I roll with things. And looks like we need to cut it like right about there. I'm going to just fold it to like how I measure. And got us a nice little crease there. Now I'm going to just cut along that line and then we'll glue it in. Again, this video is part of a playlist, so I do hope that you'll check out all of our friends who've joined today, and Christy from Funky Junk Inspiration. I hope you will be inspired to create something fun yourself. And hey, if you like what you see, then give me a subscribe and ring the bell and come back and see me sometime. I'm just using some stick glue on here. So, I guess not your traditional mixed media, what you think of when you think mixed media. I just think anything that's more than two things put together is mixed, right? So, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little fun with some miniatures here, and just when we get this part done. Let's see here. Let's get that up there. So we're making us some wallpaper right now. I think this would make a pretty wallpaper. And of course I didn't get it up high enough. So let's get that on there. I am doing real time right now, of course. I might speed you up here in a little bit. And so you don't get too bored and check out on me. I do always encourage people to enjoy the process when you're creating. We all want something pretty at the end, but just like with life, if we don't enjoy it as we go, that's no fun, right? Alright, so we've got that down. Now, I think that looks really pretty, and this looks almost like the baseboard here. I'm going to cut a little piece of ribbon and put on, and you'll see here in just a second why I want to use that. I'm going to grab some tacky glue. I've got some hot glue working, but I don't know that my tool is ready yet. So I'm going to come across the top with this pretty lace that I got from Hobby Lobby. Nice roll of it. I've seen some similar at the Dollar Tree, but not quite as much of it. Let's just get that cut, and then we'll flip it over. So let's make sure we got it like we want it. There. Flip it over. And then we're going to glue this on the back. Hot glue will probably be much quicker, but we're going to set this to the side anyway So maybe that'll give it time to dry while we're working on the other part of it. Let's see here. Let's get that. Just use my finger. Because that's what I do. It's okay to get some on the top. Just get it good and secure. Nice and secure. That over. Alright. Now I'm going to flip it back over here. And then right up here, I'm going to take this little magnet bookmark that I have, that I dropped over here. And here's what it says. Good things are on their way. It's identical on both sides. But, you know, it's meant to be a bookmark. You just magnetize it where you stop. We're going to use it right here. And just let it hang on that ribbon, but it's stuck to itself. So we're going to set that aside and let that dry. Alright, we're going to start out with this little miniature bookcase, and we're going to fix that up. We're working on a little mini sewing room, and so I've got quite a few cute little things here. I've got pieces of material, and we're going to stick that in there and use that. Let's see if that hot glue is ready yet. I think it probably is. And I'm just going to put just a little dollop right here so it's not flailing around anywhere we don't want it. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to set that right there. Going to work on our little assemblage here. So we've got this too. And then I have some ribbon that I cut, and then I just folded it over and cut it in half. So it looks like material to set up in there. You don't have to glue it in. I just want to, because I don't want it moving all around once we finish with our little assemblage and set it up somewhere. I don't want it to be flopping around. And the reason I cut this ribbon in half is it is wired, but it did not want to lay flat in there. I think that's already pretty. Looks like somebody's sewing room. And here's a little scrap piece of material that I have. Once I save everything, right? And then we'll put that right in there. Oh my goodness. I'm usually a painter, but I love doing miniatures. I love fun, whimsical type things. So, and we'll see some of that with me sometimes. Alright, so next I have these little spools of thread. Of course they look gigantic in this little sewing room, but we can pretend, right, that they are just maybe giant spools of twine or something. Just needed to give it a little bit of color. And I thought about adding paper to the back of the bookcase. But here I've already started without doing that, so I guess we're going to skip it. I've got some tweezers here somewhere, but I don't know where I put them. How about that? Oh, they would be perfect right now. They actually came with another little assemblage thing that I bought to put little miniatures together. Oh, dollop of glue there. So I did go ahead and grab those tweezers and then forgot to start back recording, but you didn't miss anything but me putting in that little spool, just a little. This one's up front and that one a little bit catawonkus, so you can see them both. Now what do I have? I've got these little bottles that I got from the Dollar Tree. I just think they are adorable. I've taken some little pearl ribbon and I've cut it up and put it in there because maybe in our sewing room we have some little pearls that we're going to add to something. And then these are just little miniature buttons. They're so super tiny. I need some more in there, I think, but we're going to just go with those because that's what I've got. All right, and I'm going to try to glue them towards the front. I might get you off a little bit here so I can see what I'm doing. Let me just put a little dollop of glue. Let's grab those tweezers. I don't want it to go so far back in there that we can't tell what we got. I don't like the glue showing. Alright, so we've got that. We could stand a few more buttons in there. And hot glue's easy. I can run some heat on it and release that when I get some more buttons. And that'll be fine. But until then, it won't be flopping around, right? That's a little bit harder, I think, here. Let's see here. I don't want them to be identical as far as where they're sitting. I meant to pull this one over a little bit. That's another thing that can be fixed later on. So here's what we've got so far. That cute little shelf. She's got her material, or some thread, buttons and pearls. Let's pick something pretty to go on top. So I've got this other little, just right there. Another little jar from the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put just a little bit of glue in the bottom. Maybe a little more. That is hot, y'all. Alright, and then I'm going to take some little pins that have a pretty little pearl on the top, different colors, and we're just going to put those in there. Maybe it's like they're little flowers. And that glue will just look like, maybe it'll look like water in the bottom, shining through. Got one more, so we'll have an odd number. Can rearrange them a little bit while that glue is drying. That's cute. So let's sit, and then you can see the clear in the bottom from the glue. So let's let that sit for just a second. There, I think we are just about done with this part. Now I do have these tiny little spools. They're still not tiny enough for our little assemblage. But I'm going to put a little bit of antique wax on this one. Be right back. Alright, so what I'm going to do with that, I ended up using brown paint instead of stain because I couldn't find my antique wax. How about that? Just a little bit of glue right there. Let's get, and this is some pink and white and baker's twine that came from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just gonna wrap it around that little spool, so maybe we have a little bit of different twine to put on that shelf with our other two threads. Words are hard when you're trying to do something. We don't have to put a whole lot on there, just enough to cover it and get that done. Alright, one little dollop of glue. I keep thinking I'm going to pause and so you don't have to see anything boring. Now I have paint all over my fingers now. I just used a paper towel to put on here, and that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to put the twine on the one that I didn't put the paint on. A hot glue hurts, y'all. It's just sticking to me. Alright, let's get this put in there. Alright, so I'm taking another one of those small spools. I did not put any paint on this one. And I just put a little bit of glue right up there at the top. And we're going to put some more over here. I'm trying my best not to burn myself again. And then I'll just get that around there. I'm not going to worry about the back side. Nobody's going to see that. And there we go. Now we have a little spool of lace. So let's get this all put together. Alright, so here's what we've got with everything glued down. We've got our little material shelf, our button and pearl shelves, our thread, and then just to balance it out a little bit. And then I put this little spool up here beside our flowers. I think it's going to be pretty. Our water does look a little cloudy, but that's okay. Alright, let's move on to putting it all together. Alright, so here's going to be our showpiece, I guess you would call it. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby over in their little miniature and dollhouse aisle. And if you look real close, it's already got two little spools of thread. It's got the material, little antique sewing machine, and tiny little scissors. So it looks great. Little drawers do not work, but they are still awful cute. So we're going to be putting that in our little assemblage, as well as a little glass of tea. And we've got a little pitcher with some lemon in it already. So cute. A little stool here, and we're going to put some lace on the top of it just to sit it there. And look at here, y'all. So I took the cork out of top of that one bottle that we made our vase, and I just put two little pins in it. I thought it would be cute sitting on the sewing machine. So we're going to get that put together now. Alright, so I think what I want to do is to put just a little dollop of glue right here on my, and then just set it over here. Just like a little decoration on that. This thing is cute. And then we'll set, I was going to set the little pitcher of tea but we're going to set that on our little table, I think. Or our little bench. Just a little bit of glue here. Right there. I'm going to put that on the edge. And that's sweet, just as sweet as it can be. Got some sweet tea. And we got some glue strings here working against us. And then we have our little bench here that we can put our little, yeah. I thought about making a stool out of this. I think that would be really cute too. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, so for our little stool, I did go ahead and paint that up. I'm not worried about the places I missed, and you'll see why in just a second. I've cut a little piece of that same wired ribbon that I used for our material on our shelf, and I've got cotton ball that I tore in half because it was a little bit too big. So we're going to make a little cushion for our stool. I'm just going to fold that right over here. just give it some glue. We can push that in a little bit more. We're going to end up cutting some of it off. Better too much than not enough, right? It's hot. It's still hot. Still hot. That put together. Alright, I'm going to get that put together and be right back. Okay, now because I want it to fit on this little round stool, I'm just going to fold this over and try to round it out a little bit so it looks a little better for our little stool. And just put some glue in there. These might be parts that I could have left out, but I don't know. You might say, well, how'd she do that? How'd she make it? And if I do it really fast, then you won't see that. So I'm just going to fold that over. Just being mindful if you are using hot glue. I should have on some finger protectors here. This little minute type things. Alright, now we're just going to hold it and press it until it dries. It ended up looking more like a square than a circle, but, you know, it's okay. It's alright. We're just going to glue it on top of our little spool here. And honestly, I thought that it would cover up some of that paint where it didn't get painted, but it's no big deal. We can add that later. I don't know if you guys watched Captain Kangaroo. I always liked the littles and the things that they would find around and make into furniture. I thought was really cute. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. I'm just squishing it down. So this is our little wood box that we're going to be using. I got it from Hobby Lobby, from their woodpile selection on their 40% off week. And this is the back of it here. So we've got to be mindful of that. That's how we'll put it together. So we'll be putting it together backwards. So I'm going to do that right quick. Just put the things in where they need to go and show you our final result. I do have this cutie here. I kind of wanted to put this little chandelier in. I think that would be really cute. Let's just do it. It's got a little sticky on it right there. Let's put it in the center. But I'm going to pull it over just so that it's going to hang over where our sewing machine is. So what I'm going to do with that is, I could put a little hook in there if I had a little hook, but I don't. So what I'm going to do is just put a little dollop of glue right there. Let's see, I might turn it upside down. You won't be able to see. Right, so here she is all finished up. I think it's just darling. I think I might go back and raise that lace up in the back so my little magnet is not competing so much with the little chandelier. I think the placement of that's good. I did put some lace around the stool just to make it look more like a stool. I just love it. I just think it is so cute. Who else loves miniatures? I think it needs some lights in here too, so I'm probably going to go back and string some lights in there because it does seem to be just a tiny bit dark, but overall, whoopsie, I love it. Alright guys, don't forget to check my description for the link to that playlist. Check out my friend Christy from Funky Junk Inspiration, and give us all a subscribe, and come back and see what we have for you next month. And we will be back on the first Friday of every month with a playlist for you. So, alright, ta-ta for now.